Let's go. We're live. Welcome everyone to another week of the live stream. What's this? Okay. Let's just start getting into it. All right, I gotta share my screen. I always forget. I need to share my screen if you want to see it. Before I do that, actually, let me do it. Let's do this. How do I? Share my screen. All right, so here's a little thing that I've been working on. Let me see if I can. Oh, that works. So we got this character. He starts swiping his sword. And I like the way that it turned out. I thought it was fun. First of all, it was fun to animate. It's just so much fun to animate in Moho because you can do things so quickly without a lot of thought. Yeah, it's just really great. Where am I going to put this? I'll just take that out. So some of the cool things that I was going for, like when the sword comes in, you see how it forces into perspective and it comes way up into the camera. These are all just shape layers, but it's so cool to see it kind of do that. And then as it comes up, it does this motion blur. So like, I could have done the motion blur a little bit better because it looks just like a blob. But all in all, like you don't see it because it's only like 2 frames. But I thought it turned out pretty cool. And again, we got that fire in the back. I made that in Moho. If you've seen the other live streams, then you know how I made that. But yeah, man, yeah, guys, just some fun stuff happening here. There's some physics going on here in his coat. So I've got, let me see if I can pull that up. I've got these bones here, which I didn't animate, but I could animate it if I wanted to. But there's physics applied to this coat so that as he moves up, you know, kind of the fabric will drape somewhat like fabric and give that movement. So some cool stuff to be playing with. I didn't really think through the way that this coat would look. At first, I thought it was just going to be like a shawl, kind of like almost like a scarf or a hanging. And then I thought, well, I'll put a back to it. And then I'll make it more of like a coat. So if he turns into 3/4 or side view profile, it'll break and you'll go, okay, that's not a coat. But from this view, it looks like a coat to me. So that was just something fun that I worked on. Today, what am I going to be working on? Oh, here's another shot. So he's sleeping. Wait. Oh, why is he disappeared here? I always forget. How did you... Oh, there it is. No, that's not right. How long was this thing? It takes off right here. Poof. And right here it should be done. So he hops up because he hears something and then he enters into this scene ready to slice. Yeah! Shrink! But today, what am I going to be working on? Let's see. I think I need to be doing, was it frame 1? So I'm trying out this concept, like this visual style. So everything just has a like a splotch color. So the foreground is one color. This just gives kind of like, I don't know, maybe like a more simplistic, more stylized view. I think it cleans up everything. It makes it a little bit more clear to go, okay, so this layer is the foreground and whatnot. We're just trying to change up the style or the format of this series that I'm working on. So it'll have more fleshed out Illustrator versions of the backgrounds and the characters. And then it'll go into this more kind of like, I don't know if you would call it storybook telling, but we're trying to cover a lot of information right here in this segment. So we're just breaking up the visual style of it. And there's a lot of characters in here, so I think it's really chugging. So I've realized that I've hit a wall with what Moho is capable of. But that's okay. I expected as much. But I got to do this guy walking down the stairs, which was kind of fun. He just walks down the stairs and stops. I don't think I've ever animated a character walking downstairs before. It's not perfect. I think it could use a lot of work. It's not necessarily with like the mechanics of it, but with the physics of it. He seems kind of like he's floating. Almost like if like what was that Honda robot? What was his name? Osimo? Is that what it was? Osimo? Anyway, there's a robot that Honda made who can walk up and down stairs. And for a robot, it looks really great, but for a human, it's very robotic. So that was fun. It was cool to do that. Again, the way that I did this one is I animated one footstep per leg, and then I'm able to copy and paste it, and then using the graph editor, reposition where the next foot will go. So if you copy and paste, obviously it goes back up to the step that it came from, but then you can use the graph editor to change the X and Y location of it. And why don't I just show you? I talk a lot. I'll just show you. If you're not familiar with the way that this functions, let's find our character. Then if I was to come here and select the foot here and then grab, let's say, the position. So the way that I can move this foot, let's say that it's hitting here, but I copied the keyframes and then I wanted it to hit somewhere else. What you can do is just move these, and then now it's going somewhere else. We can get it down to the next step. And then it just plays out from there. So he could take a big step here. Whoa. Yeah. So that's pretty straightforward. All right. I don't have anything on the agenda really today, guys. If you're in here and you're wondering what the heck this guy is doing, I'm right there with you. Every day's a mystery. Never know what I'm going to do. Let me have some coffee. Thanks, Alan. If you guys have any questions or any responses to where you want to share, please, I beg you, say something. Yes. How's it going, Alan? Are you a Moho animator, After Effects animator, or all of the above? Maybe none of the above. Oh, that's a tough question. It's hard because it depends on what you're going to do. For me, if I was going to go back into motion graphics and do like some shapes that I needed to animate and mask out, I would probably go do it in After Effects because I know how to do that kind of stuff in After Effects really easily. But if I was going to do any of my character rigging, it would be in Moho. Just because Moho, it works better. Once you get the hang of it, it's easier to process that information and understand it. Yeah, Moho is better suited for character rigging and animation, in my opinion, just because it gives you that ease to do exactly what you want. There's limitations, obviously, in both programs, but there's more limitations in After Effects, whereas you have to understand layer composition and maybe some scripting just in order to get your character to do what you want. Whereas Moho goes, well, we'll give you the tools that you need, and we'll just kind of place it all in these borders. Basically, like if you want your character to turn their head, you do it the same way you would turn the foot, or the same way that you would animate the hands. So it's relatively intuitive in the way that it thinks through information. It's just different, completely different than After Effects. So if you've been working in After Effects for some time and you're like, okay, I got a pretty good grasp on After Effects, transitioning to Moho, the information that you have from After Effects will not help you. It's completely different. The only thing that'll help you coming from After Effects would be if you've got a grasp on labeling your layers, on organizing your files, and understanding three-dimensional view of your character. If you have those grasped and understood, then you can kind of utilize that in Moho. But if you're thinking, well, my rigging skills in After Effects will translate, they don't. It's completely different. So once you understand Moho and you've spent time in it, you've learned some of the tools, then it becomes easy, and it becomes actually easier. It becomes easier to use, just because the process of animating and moving the characters is just like that, seamless. So After Effects just takes so much time to move your character, because once your rigs get complicated, it's almost impossible. Okay, thanks. You're welcome. That means move on. You're like, I got it. Sorry, I'm just rambling at this point. All right, so what am I going to do? I actually don't even know if I want to animate this scene, because I sent this to the client as kind of like a proof of concept. I was like, hey, what do you think of this style? What do you think of this layout? I guess I will. Yeah. I would say that my only caveat to me singing praises to Moho would be, if After Effects works for you and you haven't seen any lag and you can get your characters to do exactly what you want, stay in After Effects. Like, If it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But just for me and my experience, and the thing that I've been saying ever since I started this whole thing, is After Effects didn't work for me anymore, and I couldn't animate my characters. And I had to find a way out of that, and I just picked Moho kind of like, not at random, because I looked at Toon Boom. I liked what Toon Boom was doing. The animation that you can do in that is just incredible. But for the price point and, you know, the things that I was needing, for me, it was an easy swap out to go. It's either Toon Boom or Moho. Moho's just a little cheaper. It seems to do everything that I want, so I'm going to go with Moho. But yeah, if After Effects works, you don't have any problems with it, stick with After Effects. I was with After Effects for 12 years. And in the beginning, it was fine because my characters were very simple. The rigs weren't complex. But over the course of 12 years, I started to gain just a different level of quality to my rigs. And I was like, well, I need my rig to have this, or I need my rig to have that. And every little bell and whistle that I put on my rig was another second of lag it took. So everything that I put on was more and more and more and more time for me to actually see my character move. Anyway, so Moho was, I'm not going to lie, it was a hard transition. It was a hard transition to go from feeling very confident in After Effects to going to a brand new program where I didn't know anything. But I will say this, the only redeeming quality about learning this program, not because of the end result that, you know, that I'm seeing now, but during it, as you're rigging it, you start to see all the amazing things that Moho offers, and you're just excited. I was so excited every day to learn something new because it was just like something that I couldn't do in After Effects, and I can easily do it in Moho. It was just the most amazing thing. And so I got excited every day to come in and be like, what do I get to learn today? You know, and there's still things that I don't know, still things that I'm trying to learn. Yeah, lag. See, we're not the only ones. There's a whole world of people in After Effects that struggle. Don't be afraid to come out and share your story. If you've had lag in After Effects, tell people, okay? It happens to the best of us. But right now I'm actually seeing lag in this. So even though there's lag, here's the thing. So like if I hit play, it's going to be choppy, which is a bummer. And that's because I've got like 10 characters in this scene. And for some reason, even though I solo the characters and I just go to the one, it's still choppy. But the difference is even though my playback is choppy, look, I can still do this. Okay, I can still take this arm and move it in real time. Like nothing is slowing me down. Playback is a little slow. But the real-time reaction to your actual posing of your character is instant, that's really the main thing that I care about. In After Effects, I couldn't move my character's arm into position without waiting at least 10 seconds before I saw where that arm went. Right? That's horrible. That shouldn't happen. And another thing, if I do want to preview this, and let's say that I'm having trouble seeing exactly what I animated, you can do a rough render. You can just do a quick playback. I think it's Control-Shift-R. Yeah. So it does this quick render, kind of just like what After Effects does with a RAM preview. So it will render it and then play it back for you. This one does a render, but it actually creates a video file with that rough render, which is cool. And it puts it in like a dump file so that I think it overwrites this file every time you do a new render. Close stream and my processor will do well. Yeah, that's probably true. My computer's a bit old, so I've been feeling some of the effects of that as of recently, and that might be another reason why After Effects was just locking up on me, is that my computer's a little old. I probably don't have the proper RAM installed. I could use a new graphics processor. I could use a lot. But for the most part, when I start off with a character, everything works great. I'm getting my real-time playback. But yeah, let me look at my script. Where do I have my script at? I don't think I have it out. Yeah, so like I said, I don't know if I want to keep animating this scene because the client hasn't approved it yet. Let's see. Graham, if there's something you can animate with no lag, do it on stream and then close it when working on it in rigging. Yeah, probably a single character would work best to animate the process. I know when I was first starting and I was just like learning to rig, one character seemed to work great. And it was when I started adding backgrounds and other characters that my process slowed down, and I was like, what's going on, Moho? So like, let's see if this one still works. Yeah, it's a little slow. Oh yeah, it's slow, but it's still rendering. So this is a single character. I've noticed adding this fire in here kind of slows it down too. All right, what should I work on today? You'd think that I'd come prepared to these things, but I don't. I just walk into my office and then I hit stream. And you see it. You get to see me, the wheels turn in real time. Okay. You get to see how ill prepared I am. You know, why don't I just do like a simple kind of like acting scene? Maybe I'll open up one of these characters and then I'll just do some acting. You can never have too many acting cycles. And again, like I've said before, so these actions, boom. So like this sword swing, saved as an action. And I can send this action to any character I want. You can see something happens with his robe there. It just gets switched. But anyway, you get the point. So all these keyframes here are saved relative to the rig. And I can apply these keyframes to just about any rig that has a similar bone structure as this guy. I love that. That is like the biggest selling point for me. And I learned this after I started using Moho. I started using Moho thinking, oh, great tool, great, everything. I love it. And then I learned this and I was like, oh my God. You have to be kidding me. Because After Effects, you could do something kind of like this, but it did not work nearly as good. So all I have to do is save these keyframes, puts them in its own folder, its actions folder, and then I can just pick and choose my performances based on previous animation. And it's that simple. I don't have to import a rig. I don't have to import a rig and then try to figure out how to make it fit. And another cool thing is you can seamlessly blend these performances. So once he raises his sword and he slices, I don't want to show you. Let's just start a new one. Let's do that. So I'll open this character up. Let's do, was it Disciple 2? No. Character 1? Yes. No, that's not the one. Who was it? I could have swore it. Yeah, it's this guy. There you are. All right. So the way that I've been thinking about how I'm going to do my animations for these characters, before I was just kind of randomly picking and choosing. Maybe they'll act to their left or maybe they'll act to their right. And then I was having these different actions where they were performing to the character on their left or they were performing to a character on the right. And that just didn't seem to be, it didn't seem to be a great way to blend animations. And it kind of limits your performance because you can only now have that performance where they're on their right, or I don't know if you're following. But anyway, the way that I think I'm going to do this is I'll have a more forward-facing action, more general to the camera, so that when they're doing their acting, what I can do is once they have their front-facing action done, I can then take my master control and rotate that performance to either their right or to their left. And as long as I have a general forward-facing performance, I can easily blend those performances perfectly. That's the theory. So that's what I'm going to attempt. And we'll attempt it right now. So I'm going to have my character in a neutral pose. And then we'll just start doing some performance. So the question is always, what's the motive? What's going on in our character's head? What's going to make them tick? Are they frustrated? Are they happy? Sad? Angry? Usually a good performance, it doesn't always happen like this, but there's some kind of a mood shift or a change in their expression that makes it a more dynamic performance. So they go from sad to happy, happy to sad, somewhere in between, a mix of all of it. So maybe what we'll do is we'll start off with, first of all, let's get him in a better pose because this feels kind of stiff, right? So if I was going to pose him a little better, as of right now, the one thing that I'm not really good at, and I don't know how I should do it, is the layering of layers and the masking of layers. So I think what most people do is when they rig their character, they just have switches that either turn off the forearm or turn on the forearm. So you could have the layers kind of pop in front of each other and do all that stuff. As of right now, my rig doesn't have that. And I'm not sure I know how to get that. But this doesn't look right, does it? So those are not good. I want to see how it does turn, though. Okay, so that crossing the arm doesn't work. Oh, thank you, Crom. I wish you all success, too. I know this period of animation is, or this time frame of animation, the age of animation right now is both exciting, stressful, challenging. You know, finding work and getting stable work it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge ever since I started. You know, so I wish you all the best too in your animation endeavors. It's not easy. Even when you feel like you're confident in your work and you feel like you're producing the best quality content that you can make, it's still hard. It's still hard finding a client. It's still hard finding work. So anytime you get a job, don't ever take it for granted. Milk it for every ounce that it's worth. Enjoy it. Love the process, even if it's a challenging client and you're like, ugh. Just be thankful that you get to do this for a living, or at least explore it for a career. All right. Back to posing this character. I don't know. Still doesn't feel right. Maybe I'll try one hand on the hip. And we'll put one arm down like so. Oops. Maybe we can pull these hips out, give a little bit of a better stance so he's not like so stiff-legged. Pull this foot out. Actually, no, I'll put that foot back in. All right. Let's call this a pose. It's not a great pose, but it's better than what it was. So now that we have our pose in place, I'm going to hold it for a little bit. I don't know, maybe half a second. And then what I'll do is we'll add a keyframe to the entirety of our rig, and we'll add a keyframe there as well. The only thing I don't have a keyframe for is the translation of my bones. So I think if I move it a little bit and hit escape, and maybe what we can do is add a keyframe. Oops. How did that happen? All right, now that we have our keyframes for the entirety of our character across all of our different points, now we can start to move our character. So I always like to do subtle. I like to be more subtle. Let me just see how this rotates. Okay, cool. Perfect. So you see how this character rotates and it keeps its pose. That's a good thing. That means we're off to a good start. That means that I can take that pose and start to manipulate the direction that they're acting in, which is exactly what I want. So let's have our character maybe just do a hand gesture. So if the character is going to do something, maybe it will do, maybe something like that. Let's just see it. Okay. And what I got to do is turn these keyframes to step. They can't be smooth. They got to be stepped. So in After Effects, that would be a keyframe hold. But in here, it's called a step. We'll have this hit a little bit earlier. Now, if I wanted to, I could go into the graph editor here and then change these to Bezier. And what I could do is manipulate the angle of this hand so that it comes into the body. So it would rotate in, and then I'll pull this out so that we could have it rotate up. Maybe we'll do like that. Let's see it. Comes in and then up. Ooh, also, let me see if the dynamics are on. Now let's turn the dynamics on. See what happens. Okay, one other thing I got to do. I'll turn dynamics on the wrist as well. And now let's watch. Okay, so we have an arm move. That hand is jiggling quite nice. It's got a nice little jiggle to it. I think what I want to do, so we have to have the body shift a little bit. Otherwise, it's just too stiff. So if the hand comes up, the body's going to move too. So let's move this body a little bit. I don't know. What do you think? Is it going to move backwards? Away? Maybe we could rotate these hips this way. So if I was standing there like this, yeah, I would lean back, right? What? What are you talking about? Right? Huh? I don't think you'd lean into it. You'd lean away. What? All right, let's have our character lean away. Okay, I think maybe this will come this way. I'll just do this too. Oh, you know what? And I can also rotate the head. I'm not afraid to move the head around too much, okay? Because even though the head rotates that way, I can still move this to get my performance. And I can go in that direction too. So let's try something. Now that I've got my hand movement, even though he's performing to his right, let's see what happens if I change it to his left. Let's just see. That kind of works, right? So you understand what I was talking about, where I can hopefully manipulate the performance so that even though he's acting straight to the camera, I can choose a side to which he's going to be performing to. That's the hope. And it's working. I can see it's working already. That's why I freaking love this program. I love it and create controls that allow you to do this. You couldn't do this in After Effects. No offense to you After Effects animators, but man, I spent too long in After Effects not to be upset about it. All right, and then we could even rotate him more in this direction. Let's have a look-see. Yeah, now he's like way to his right. Hey, I'm here. What's up? What's up, guys? All right, let's put it back to 0. So this is all very stiff and robotic. And I tell you what, we're going to make it nice and fluid and moving, so weighty and naturally. It's going to happen. Everything starts off as 2 poses, A to B. And everything in between is just a linear movement of robotic translation. But once you start to manipulate the way that those curves move, you start to get this more organic movement to your character. And then you have to change the timing. So everything can't happen at the same time, because then it starts to feel too rigid. You want to break things up. So like, if I'm going to do this pose like that, what I would do is probably do my shoulders first and then have my hands snap in a little bit quicker. So it's all about the timing. It's all about adjusting the timing to make sure that it's interesting. You want to create intrigue in your performance. Another thing that I love to do is that gravity almost always pulls us down before we get into our position. So you're almost always going to see like a downward movement first and then an upward movement into your position. So what you can do is, as this moves, maybe right here, you could pull it down to create a nice downward curve. So it comes down and then up. Also, I want to see, because there's another thing that I've been talking about this for a while. I have these bone dynamics that just allow for squash and stretch and angle of the body to be moving. And I want to see if that helps with the performance. So you can see what it's doing is it's delaying that torso rotation a little bit. So it's almost like it's being affected by the hips. It feels a little too delayed, maybe. But I'm just going to leave it for now. Because what I think is really cool, let's see, I didn't learn rigging yet. Do you recommend learning in After Effects or Moho? It depends on what program you want to settle in. So if you're going to learn to rig, Moho and After Effects completely different. So whatever program you envision yourself using in the next year or 2 or 3 years, that's where you want to start rigging. It would make no sense to learn rigging in Moho and then go, okay, I'm going to move over to After Effects, or vice versa. Yeah, whatever program you foresee yourself being in long term, or at least for the time being, start in that program. Because they're completely different. And Moho, I would say Moho is probably I don't. They're just different. It's hard to say. That's a tough recommendation to make. I think After Effects is more versatile because you have a lot of tools at your disposal to do motion graphics, and you can do the rigging side of things for characters. Moho, you can do some motion graphics. I think it's a little bit harder to do motion graphics in my opinion. And again, I haven't done a lot of motion graphics in Moho yet, so I couldn't tell you the reasons, or I couldn't tell you exactly how to do it in Moho, but I know you can. Just from my experience, motion graphics work in After Effects is pretty simple. It doesn't take a lot of computing power, so your programs are still going to run pretty smoothly. So like you can manipulate your shape layers and your elements in After Effects, and it all renders really quickly. For me, it was all about creating characters that would perform well, and After Effects wouldn't allow me to do that. So rigging in Moho is much better performance than After Effects. Your choice, my friend. Your choice. Can't go wrong with either one. So if you're just starting off, After Effects will work just fine because there's probably a lot of stuff that you're not going to focus on that I was putting into my rigs. And the things that I was putting into my rigs were just slowing it down like crazy. So you're probably going to focus on just getting your characters to move. And at that point in After Effects, everything runs great. It's once you start putting on the things that most people would think are unnecessary, that's when it starts to slow down. So I've got these dynamics happening to the bones and the rotations and everything. So it's kind of alleviating some of my animation process to where I don't have to think like, well, how's the body going to like function if there's weight behind it? So some other things that are going to really sell this performance is the face. The body is one part, and I would say the body is not nearly as important as what the face is doing. So if our character is doing this gesture, this movement, it could go one of 100 ways. You don't know if they're happy, angry, sad, frustrated, or what. They could be gesturing out of excitement, like, oh, look what I found. Or they could be like, are you serious? That? It's all in the face. So now we get to figure out what's our character feeling. And this can change, or this performance will change as I start to actually put it into like a real scene. The performance will change, but for a base template starting off just to see how it's all going to fit together, we get to pick an emotion. So let's see. I don't know why I always start with characters that seem like frustrated. I like that deadpan look where it's like half your eyelids are covered or your eyebrows are furrowed, and it's just the pupils like right at the edge of the eyelid. Just kind of like, I don't know why. I always do that one. So I feel like I want to break that up. I don't want to be pigeonholed as the deadpan guy. So maybe we'll have him excited. Excited. Thanks for the recommendation. What I understood is if I go for motion design, I go After Effects, and it will do. Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, let's give our character something. So maybe we'll do like, no. Let's change. No, I want it to be happy. He doesn't look happy. So maybe we'll change his mouth. make it. Okay, it is happy. Okay, got a nice smile. I don't think I'm a fan of these lids. Yeah, sometimes you put things on a character thinking, oh, I'll use that. And then you never do. I guess that might work, actually. He looks a little stoned, doesn't he? All right. I think I also want to start with his head. Let's break up that pose a bit. What's a good pose? That feels pretty good. Okay. So now what I got to do is I have to copy those frames that I just did and then paste them back here. So we have that hold. And then right here, I want the head. Maybe we'll have the head go down. And maybe he'll do like a little wobble. That's another thing I like to do. The shake. Huh? Huh? I don't know why. I don't know why I do it. It just feels natural to me. I don't know. I don't even know if that's how I talk, shaking my head a lot, but let's do it. Right here, we'll do a head turn. Let's see. Oh, whoops. No, I don't like that. All right, so let's change that. I think maybe it's too big and then it's happening too late. I think that's the problem. So if I was going to do this head rotation properly, it would probably start a lot quicker. And not be so big. So I'd probably start here, go like that. Let's just look. So it goes in, and then it would come out. Might be a little bit better. All right, well, let's rotate this. So maybe the head will come down this way a little bit, and then rotate up this way. And then also I want him to close his eyes, so he'll be doing a bit of a blink here. So we'll close these, and then I got to change this shape because they don't function together. And then I'll open his eyes here. We'll go like that. And maybe we'll give him a bigger smile here. So we'll hit these. And then right here, he'll maybe tilt his mouth a little more. Then we'll open it up. Ooh. Oh, should he be kind of like, what? Let's see how this looks. Okay, one thing, this head rotation it needs to snap up quickly, so it's going too slow. So let's push this in a few frames. And I think it might be the body. So the body is rotating way too slow. Maybe let's see if I pull this in. That's a little better. Thank you. The way that I process my function of motion is I just think about what I would do, and then I do it. Or I think about what the character would do. I might not ever act like this. You want to exaggerate it quite a bit. And for this character here, he might even actually put his arm down. So like if you were going to get some information that was shocking, would you keep your hand on your hip? I guess it depends how shocking the information is. What? Or would you go, huh? Hand down. I'm going to keep my hand on the hip just for now. And then maybe in the next pose, I can take it off. Okay. All right, so we've got him doing this simple pose. What would he do next? Maybe he would slouch with his arms down, and then we could have him do a gesture upward. I would love to break out of the performance idea, like, because I feel like I get stuck in these like simple routines that I animate over and over and over. And sometimes my brain just doesn't think outside the box. And sometimes you need to go get reference. You need to find somebody who did something better than you did and try to find a way to replicate that without copying it. But sometimes that just takes a lot of work. So like, for instance, in this shot here, I was trying to find reference for something like this. And his hair should be, oh well, I'm not going to worry about that. I was trying to find reference for this action here, and I just couldn't. Like, oh, this is because I'm in the action. So I had to come up with this on my own. I had to play it out in my head and think about exactly the way the character's going to pose and what they're going to do. I actually looked for reference in Samurai Jack, and I just couldn't find it. I was like, there's nothing of him doing this. Why can't I find this? So sometimes finding a reference is easy. Sometimes it's not. And you have to weigh the pros and cons. Like, am I spending too much time finding the exact thing that I'm hoping exists, or would it be quicker for me just to recreate it? Now, with something like acting, there's a plethora of reference that you can go and find. But for the sake of this live stream, I'm just going to keep going with what I got. And we'll see what we come up with. Sorry, I don't know why I went on that tangent. Let me ask you guys, all 5 of you, what do you think he should do next? He raises his arm up. Huh? What's his next pose going to be? Should it be frustration, anger, excitement, or sadness? Pick. Throw it in the chat. Frustration, anger, excitement, or sadness? Anyone? Rage. Oh, double rage. Okay, let's make it rage. Well, let's see. Does anyone else have a vote? Because we got 2 for rage, which wasn't even on there. And I'm going to applaud you. Another rage. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go with rage. So if he's going to be angry, right, he's going to crouch down. Maybe his arms are going to be up. He's just so like tense with rage. I guess not excited. Okay. So this is going to be a rageful event. He goes from happy to what? Okay, so then I'm going to change this expression to be more frustrated as opposed to like, huh? Because that's a hard transition to go from happy to shocked and then rage. You want it to be happy, more of like this pensive expression of like, I know I'm angry, but I don't know how angry to be just yet. Okay, so instead of his eyes going up like they are, I think maybe what we'll do is we'll keep them down. Eyebrows need to come like this, and then we'll pull up the bottom lid like this, and maybe the teeth will be clenched shut. Okay, there we go. So that is the beginnings of rage. Do you agree? And then maybe quickly he's taken a second, like a split second, to be caught off guard, and then he goes straight into this rageful. All right, so if he's going to go into rage, let's think through like 2 or 3 poses that he's going to use to act out his rage. So maybe I'll have him clench down. Yeah, let's see it. So he clenches down. Maybe he's looking down at the ground, kind of like, oh, he's trying to figure out exactly how to process the information that he's gotten. And then maybe he'll throw his chest up and be like, ah. Well, I don't know if that would be. I know that's rage, but. All right, let's just get him into a pose first, and then we'll figure it out. So he goes from here. I'm going to throw some keyframes up here so that he holds this pose for a second, literally a split second, and then he's just going to drop straight into this rage pose. So what we'll end up doing is we'll lower him down. He'll be kind of crouched. His feet will splay out into this fighting stance. I even have this foot roll. I wonder if him being kind of like, is that even a real pose? Being on your, I don't think you can crouch down and be on your tippy toes. Never mind. Okay. And then I'm going to scale this body part down. I'll scale the neck down too. Head will come down and then forward. We'll rotate the head up. I wonder if these feet need to come out more. Let's see. So the one thing I currently don't have, let's see. What do we think? Arms up or down? All right, so if he's here and then he goes into this pose, would it be hands up like, ah, ah, or would it be hands down? Oh, I'm gonna put hands up. Hands up. That's what we're doing. And then we're going to build that suspense, okay? It's going to build the suspense. Maybe a little shake in the fist as he's compressing more and more, building that energy, and then he's going to explode, okay? So we'll have him hit here. He'll continue to bend down. We'll probably do this for at least half a second, where he's continuing his downward compression. His body clenches up. We'll keep these arms going like this. The neck or the head keeps coming down, down. Okay. Oh, thanks, Toko. I'm so glad I could help. And thank you for following along. So he's going to go what? And then he's going to pop into this pose here. So we have to offset these feet. Because remember how I said everything can't happen on the same keyframes. Well, it can, but let's see. Maybe this whole thing is just too slow. Let's try moving this faster. So one thing what I want to do is there has to be anticipation before every big move. So before he actually just drops, you want him to kind of like, it can be just like 2 frames, him pop up and then in to his position. Okay. And we can have like some fun squash and stretch with that. So let's just have a look. So before he drops straight down, we want it to almost go up. And then these feet, we can even make them happen way quicker. So what we'll do, maybe we'll offset them just a bit so they'll go up. Uh, that feels good. It might be a little too fast, but with animation, the beautiful thing about animation is you can do things really quick. The way to do it properly, if you do something super fast, there has to be an ease into that motion to make it feel nice. So if it goes from here to here, like really quick, it has to ease into that so that your viewer understands where you came from and where you're going. Otherwise, it feels kind of like snappy and jerky. So if he comes up like this and he's building, I kind of want him to build a little longer. So maybe we'll go up to a whole second. Remember, we got to start shaking. Let's have him shake. So we'll have the head shake like this. Oops. So as he comes down right here, this head will start shaking just a little bit. And it's hard because you can see as the head rotates past the center point, that's when I have this switch in the nose happen. So I got to make sure it doesn't break past that center point. And just holding shift will keep me in line. Let's see, I can probably copy these keyframes now. All right, let's see how that head moves. Oh, they do that shaky. Oh yeah, he's about to explode. He's like a tea kettle. All right, that might be too much, so I'm gonna drag these keyframes out for the head. Or maybe I'll break these off just a bit so that they're not right on top of each other. All right, let's watch that now. Does that work? Or is it too slow now? Let's pull it in one. Okay, I'm going to say that's fine. Then we got to get these hands to start shaking now. And let me see, do I have this going down? So it hits here. Oh, yeah, it keeps going down. Let's see how low we can get it. Let's just push it as far as it can go. All right, so before the head comes down, I'm going to be changing the expression. So we'll go up. This neck needs to scale upward first. So right now I have the neck. Where's the scale? Right here. I want it to scale maybe just above 100 so that it feels that stretch and then squashes in. Let's see if that feels better. Okay. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. All right, so he's coming down. I got to shake these fists a little bit. And again, I don't have a fist yet. So maybe what I'll do is for this character, see if I can get a fist in there. So right here at this point, do I have anything close to a fist? Not really. I guess this would be the closest thing. So I'm going to go with that, and then I'll just pull that finger in, and we'll just call that a fist. That sound good? I'll pull it into this part. Let's get to this one. Where are you? All right, there we go. Let's make sure these keyframes are on step. I'll do the same to these. Not that one, this one. Let's go to step. That would be funny if he was pointing up. What's he pointing at? I mean, that would be a funny pose. That would be interesting to have him, instead of have fists, have him pointing. Because it brings a little bit of intrigue to it. Like, he's so angry, he doesn't even know what to do with his hands. I'm just gonna leave it for now. And if I need to make it fists, I'll make it fists later. Now let's shake his arms a bit. And this will be interesting because I have dynamics on the wrist position and the wrist rotation. So if I just wiggle the forearm, the hand should wiggle with it. So let's see what it does. So let's go to this part here. It comes in. So maybe we'll rotate it out and forward 2, in. And we'll just do this every 2 frames. What it might do is it might counteract my animation. It might just make it not move at all. Let's have a look. That looks good. What do you guys think so far? Is it hitting the mark? I guess we'll know better on the explosion. Right? All right, then we'll pull this in, pull it out. And as he comes down, he's going to be getting progressively more angry. So his expression is going to have to really get scrunched up. Maybe even his eyes will be closed at this point because he's just so red with rage. He can't even see. And I think I'll have to offset these by 1 just to give a little bit of differentials. All right. I'm also going to pull down his hips a little bit more. So let's have him crouch a little bit deeper. Okay. I like it. Now let's have him hold here for just a split second. Actually, I forgot. We got to change his face. So let's go ahead and we'll close his eyes. Eyebrows are definitely going to scrunch in as deep as they can go. Mouth, let's see what we can do with the mouth. I still want the teeth to be clenched. Maybe they'll be like super clenched. Oh, whoops. I guess it's fine. Maybe I'll have him blink a little bit quicker, because right now his eyes move a little bit too slow. Let's get his mouth into position here too. All right, paste that. You can see this is something you'll see often with my animation. If you start something in the middle or like this, the dynamics really throw off the position of the way the character is. So you have to go back to the beginning to actually let the computer render what the physics are going to look like. Okay, here. Well, actually, he'll do his little frown thing, and then I want his mouth to open, like, and then he'll clench down. And maybe we can even have his eyes open up super wide here too. Oops. So let's open his eyes super wide. He's going to get angry. There we go. Actually, I feel like if he's going to do this pose here and then go into that, I feel like he'd have to blink first, wouldn't he? Because that feels like super abrupt. Maybe a quick blink will sell it. So instead of this, we'll go quick blink. All right, let's just watch it. Nah, it happens so fast you can't even see it, so. And I feel like him settling into that happens too slow. All right, that's fine. So now comes the climax, the explosion. Obviously, he's going to go up. Arms will come out. But we got to figure out a unique way to do that. What's something unique that he could do? Well, that would be interesting. Because just coming up and like having everything symmetrical would be fine. But let's think of something, a different way that anger could come out in this expression or this performance. That would be unique. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just get him up into his like angry pose, and then we'll figure it out from there. So now let's just push him up. He's going to explode into this one. So he's going to come up. The feet will probably move in at least a little bit. Maybe we'll put him up on his tippy toes. Body will scale up. Head will scale up. We'll rotate this head like this. Actually, the head might stay down. Remember, he's gonna be like, you know, so much anger. This one will scale up. Let's put it back to 100. All right, the question I have is, arms up or arms down? What's he gonna do? Comes back to Super Saiyan. Yeah. Let's see. I guess the question is, so if he comes into this position and then he goes up, maybe we have this arm rotate in this position. This arm will stay straight up. I don't know if that works. Or maybe he's like, and then he explodes up, and then he has another kind of like exclamation. Ah. So he's still tense. He has his first explosion. He goes, that wasn't enough. Ah. Maybe something like that. Because I'd love to have more than just like the single explosion. So I think having one hand chambered allows for the performance to continue into like a new direction. So I kind of like him like throwing his hand up in like adversity or whatever kind of rage he's experiencing. And this might not be, now that I'm watching it, it might not be rage. This might be more of like, what would you call that? Like, I can't even think of the word right now. Like, not victory. Could be like a victory. I don't know. I kind of like the pose, but let's just keep going. See what happens. So it comes up. He's going to throw his head upward too. Maybe I'll rotate a little bit. Eyes will open. I'll keep the eyebrows low. Maybe we'll open the mouth a bit. Excitement. He looks like he's excited. All right, so these feet our sliding. So let's fix the feet before we do anything. So we'll go with these guys. We're sliding in here. So let's copy our position back out. Let's delay them just a little bit. That's pretty good. And then our tippy toes, we got to change that too. Just a second. What's up, buddy?
I go to karate.
You ready for karate?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get your
Can you
karate.
carry me in because I don't want my tutor for the dojo.
Okay. Let's do it.
This is my last week
It's your last week?
before I sign up.
Oh, wow. You feel like you learned a lot?
Uh-huh.
You feel like a karate master?
No, really, like, for, 8 classes.
8 classes?
Yeah. 8 classes in a week. Because we do 2 each.
Nice. Here, you want to show these? Show them your kung fu moves? Show them some. Nice.
How do you show him it?
There are a couple people watching right now. Oh, yeah. Cha-cha. Whoa, cool. Karate. All right. Okay.
Are there actually people watching?
Yeah, actually. All right, I'm back. Sorry, that was my son going to karate, doing his karate. All right. So this looks to, what would be vindication? Like he's in a court. He's like, Your Honor, I object. Right? Is that what it feels like? That's not rage. I'm sorry, guys. I'm dropping the ball on this whole rage thing. I think what I'm trying to... Because if he was going to actually have like rage, he'd probably be stomping around, right? Not really knowing what to do with himself. He's just so angry he just wants to like hit something. But what I'm trying to avoid is having the character move around too much. Because the idea is that I'm going to have this performance be something I can incorporate in another performance. So I want the character to kind of be stationary. So I guess what you're saying is he probably shouldn't rise up like that. Huh. Please, it's possible to scale a character Moho. Emilio. Harmony between After Effects. All right, the quick. Emilio, your question is real quick. Yes, you can scale your character as large as you want. This is all vector based. So all you have to do is scale your character and it keeps that clean line. You don't have to worry about checking that continual rasterization box in After Effects. It just does it. No questions asked. Boom. Egypt Motion. Want more separate lessons. Let them be character building, then animation and emotions, and animating divided scenes. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this whole tutorial thing because they take so much time to do. And I don't have the bandwidth to do it right now. These kind of like live streams are very simple for me because it requires no commitment at all. I just come in here, hit play, and then I start animating. And this is all stuff that I'm doing for work, so it translates perfectly. So it doesn't take any obligation on my part. Whereas a tutorial, those take days and sometimes weeks to produce. And I just don't have the time to do that. And I know they'd be super helpful. And a lot of you have asked for those because you're curious about the journey into Moho and like what are the benefits. And if you do change or you do start it, what's the process like? How do I do all these different things that you're showing us how to do? And I get that. I'm totally aware that I've kind of like fast forwarded. I've jumped ship on After Effects and you guys are kind of like, well, how do we do it? So one day, yes, when I have time. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time right now to do this. Maybe what we could do. Okay. Well, thank you, Viswak. Viswak. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. Good luck with your exam. Hope it goes well. Maybe what I could do is if I do have a new character that I have to build, I could do a live stream with that. And you could watch the process there. So that's always an option, potential for that. I'm not ruling that out. But as of right now, I don't have anything in the pipes or the pipes. I don't have anything in the pipeline to do tutorials at the moment. So sorry for that, but one day. But there's plenty of tutorials on YouTube. So if you do decide to start, the best place to go is Moho's actual YouTube page. They have a whole library of tutorials, which is where I learned how to use this. So I would start there. And then, there are some other tutorials that people have done that are pretty decent. So then you can branch out and find those. But start with Moho's YouTube page. They're really good about giving you the tools you need. I just realized I haven't saved this yet. Always save your work. All right, what am I going to save this as? Disciple 2. I'll probably just delete this file once I'm done with it because I'm going to save the action. But I'll call this Rage. All right, back to the Rage. He's not ragey enough. I feel like I just got to get rid of this upward movement. I got to get rid of it, right? Because rage happens down low, shoulders up. Ugh. All right, let's just maybe get rid of it. The problem I have is I always start with one thing in mind, and I start animating. I go, well, it doesn't really look like what I wanted it to, but I'm just gonna stick with it. I really want to stick with this rage thing because you guys suggested it, so I'm gonna push myself not to cop out and then do whatever looks easiest. I'm gonna stick with the rage. All right. So if this is rage, maybe the arm would come down like this. Oops, let's delete that. And then we'll rotate it in. Okay, no, that's not working. Well, first of all, these feet, they don't look right. I'm not going to slide them in. Let's just get rid of this. So if he comes down, I was really hoping he would explode into something, but like, I guess the arms could come like this. And then he would change his hand into something. Again, I would like it to be a fist, but maybe we'll do this hand. I don't know. I'm just working with what I got for now. That looks kind of angry, right? I feel like maybe these arms need to come down a bit. What's up, dude?
We're leaving.
You're heading out?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Can you read this first?
I'll come walk you. Hang tight. I'll be right back. Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry. Okay. Rage. Yeah, this is feeling better. I think. I don't know, it's kind of weird, right? His arms. Maybe his arms wouldn't do that. Let's just see. What's a better pose? Oh, you know what? Let's try this. I can move this shoulder down. Oh, no, that doesn't look right. Let's try that. We'll move this down. Oops. And this back. And then this out. I would have to Does Moho have all the necessary inbuilt tools for rigging, or do you also have to purchase scripts? Moho has it all. So everything you see here is done in Moho. No plugins, nothing downloaded. Now, people do make scripts that you can use for your rigging. I haven't utilized them yet. So there is that possibility. All right, so this might be working strange with my scripts. Let's see if I can plug this phone in. Okay, not a fan of this pose here. So let's try something else. What do I need? What do I want to do? All right, I'm going to change all this up. I'm going to move all this. So the question is, what's he going to do? So maybe I'll have him pull this up like this. Or am I going to touch that? Pull this up. Okay, if he's gonna be, if this is rage, so maybe I'll have him kind of like, I don't know, do something like this, and then he'll stomp his arms up. This looks too much like boo, right? Is that too scary? Boo. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he'll come back down again. And then maybe his arms will come down. Oops. Maybe I can put his shoulders up. Oops. I don't want this to become sumo wrestler. I kind of like that. You see how his arms were like rotated over his head? Let's see. We're just exploring at this point. This is kind of part of the fun, right? You get to explore what your character is going to do. I think definitely he needs to hold he needs to hold this pose for at least a split second. We'll push this elbow up, maybe pull this one down. So what I'm going to do, I'll delete these, and I'm going to add a keyframe across the board here. So he's going to hold it. So come up. Maybe he'll continue to move just a little bit upward. We'll stretch this out. Scale up the head. And we'll pull up. So it comes up. And then we'll have him come into like a kind of pose. So arms up, then he comes up, and then he'll come down into his Super Saiyan. So let's have that happen. So up, up. Got his feet moving. Let's see what's going on with his feet. When I started using Moho, the characters looked really alive. I also tried many times to do a complex rig in AE, but it just lags so heavy that it doesn't bring joy while animating. Dustin DT. I think I remember Dustin. It's been so long, but I learned how to do a 3D rotation from someone, and I think it might have been Dustin DT. Shocked what you can achieve. Yeah, Moho is pretty cool. It actually, what I've noticed from switching from After Effects into Moho, the way that they translate their frames with like smooth, linear, ease in, ease out. For me, the smooth setting, it feels like it makes my animations come more alive. So it was interesting because I didn't expect it. I feel like I animate different in Moho. I didn't expect that. But it's been really cool to see that process, and like, because I don't feel like I've switched my style at all. I animated one way in After Effects, and I tried to animate the same way in Moho, but Moho translates those keyframes differently. And in my opinion, it makes it smoother. It makes it cleaner. Yeah, I don't know why. Don't know why, but I love it. All right, let's get these feet back to normal. Why is that rotating? Put that back. Put that back. All right, so he's going to go up. So we're still building that anticipation. All right, it's going to do like a Wolverine kind of. I like it. I don't know if I'll ever use this pose. Animate pose to pose. Well, I do. So if you notice, I do pose to pose, but then I adjust my keyframes in between. So if you think about it, so I go from this pose to this pose, and it's essentially these keyframes here, which is my action. And then I hold this pose, well, not for long, but I hold it quickly, and then I go up into this pose. And then animating that one down. So the way that I think about my animation, and the way that I the way that I process the layout of my animation is always pose to pose. So I always go, if this is my starting pose, what's my next pose? And then I'll go forward a few keyframes and put my character into that pose. And then it's from there that I start to break up some of the transitions and the timing of my character moving to give a more fluid feel. Because if you only go pose to pose, it can feel very stiff. And I always like to kind of give a little bit more, like life to it. And then he's going to come down right here. And now on this one, I might actually have him, I might make this like a Bezier curve. Actually, that would be too far. Oops. The arms will come out and down. Maybe the shoulders will come down too a bit. squash this down. Head will come down. All right, let's look at that. So it comes up. He was supposed to hold here. So let's go ahead and hit escape. Copy these keyframes. Oh, no, he's supposed to go up there. What happened? It's a little bit of both. A little bit of client, a little bit of personal. Like, I don't have any clear direction for this. So the thing that I'm animating now, it doesn't fit into any script, but I'm going to find a way to make it work. So I'm creating these kind of like an actions library of different actions that my characters can do. And then, you know, further along in the script for the clients that I'm working for, I can go, oh, you know, in this storyline, this character is angry, full of rage. And then I can import what I'm doing now into that script. And the client will be happy. I'll be happy. But the benefit or the perk to using Moho is all of these actions that I'm doing now, I can put it on my own personal projects. So if I have a script that I'm working on and I go, okay, in the story that I'm working on, this character goes from A to B and then they're angry. Guess what? I have the animation done. I'm just going to put it in there. Voila! Thank you, Moho. It's amazing. So arms up. Let's go ahead and copy these keyframes back above his head. All right, I got to do these clavicles. I'll pull them out. All right, so since he's coming in, I feel like maybe what I'll do is tighten these up just a little bit. Whoops. Tighten them up a little bit so that it gives that pinching sensation, like things are tightening up. Something big's about to hit. So he's coming up, and then he's going to hit hard right here. And this kind of like crouching. But it's not moving super fast. I want that hit to be a lot quicker. So let's see what we got. I'm going to move these in, way in. Okay. These feet are sliding all over the place. So I'm going to change these feet a little bit so they're not sliding. Let's grab this. Come here, so we have the big hit there. And then I'll have them slide out here. So let's delete these, copy and paste that. Up and then down. Okay, so we got some good movement here. Let's just keep this performance going. So he's going to come down like this. Then he'll animate into a new position, maybe more of like an accusatory. He's pointing at someone. Do I create character in Moho or Photoshop? You create these characters in Moho. You can use Photoshop files or Illustrator files as well. But I decided just to use Moho to create it. So it's all vector-based. So yeah, you can do either. You can either create it in Moho or you can create it beforehand in Photoshop or in Illustrator and then just import those files. So yes, you can do both. So he's going to hit here, and then maybe he'll bounce up a bit. So if he comes down, question is that angry enough? Maybe these will come in. I might actually have to turn off the dynamics on his wrists because it's not animating quite like I want because there's some big movements going on. And what I found is that if you have some really big movements happening, for some of the parts of the body, dynamics just don't work. You can always turn off the dynamics as you go and keyframe it, so it can be on at one point and then off at another. That feels really hard. Boom. Which kind of feels cool, actually. I like it. Feels kind of rageful. All right, now let's see if he comes up and then down like this. And he's basically like, are you kidding me? So if I don't have the dynamics on, I'm going to have to animate some of that wobble in there. And this actually, let's grab. So this one I'm going to put back to its original position. I'll put this one back to its original position. And then let's get these a little bit better. There we go. I don't think I have a hand that's going to work here. Let's see. No hand. Thank you. I appreciate that. Maybe that's not angry. All right. I feel like That's not going to work either. All right, I'm just going to stick with this. Okay, so let's animate this just a little bit. And we'll have it come out just a little bit. But it still needs to be relatively relatively stiff because he's tense, right? Let me see. Maybe one thing I can do, and I hope this doesn't get too sumo-y, but when he comes up at this point, maybe what we can do is have his foot lift. So I can keyframe all of these guys. So this guy will come up. And then this foot will come up like this. And we can rotate the heel upward. Pull this down. There we go. And then let's see this rotation. All right. Up. If you don't have a necessary hand pose, you can undo the hand rig and add another pose. By the way, how many poses can you add? Less or more than 5? Okay, so with Moho, things function a little differently than joysticks and sliders. Potentially, you could have unlimited things like expressions. So yeah, with joysticks and sliders, you have the 5 poses: your neutral, up, down, left, right. With Moho, I could set up a different smartphone for every expression I ever wanted. So, you know, it could be like happy, angry, you name it. Let's say it's 10 poses. And with those 10 poses, I could set up those controllers to be manipulated by one bone. So as I move the bone around, it could be changing from one expression into the next. So yes, you can do more than 5 poses. Now with the hands are set up almost like a time remap almost. But in a timeline, I have the different poses laid out. And so as I rotate through this thing here, a new pose will pop into place. there's ways that you can do different shapes with the hands. That's the thing, is you can do so many. There's more ways to rig a character than I can explain, and it really just comes down to the way that you want to animate your character. So yes, you can do more with your rig than you can get out of joysticks and sliders. Oh yeah, the foot. So let's have that foot stay up. I forgot I was doing the foot. So what we'll do is we'll have the foot come up here, and I want it to hold up until it comes down right there. So let's copy these guys. All right, we'll pull this out maybe one frame. So here I'm going to keep it going up. So hit B. I'm going to keep it the anticipation upward. And then I'll pull this up almost like it's going to really stomp down. I'm getting like mad, like crazy. Oh, what was his name? The actor that did all that green screen stuff, and he's like, "You can do it!" Oh, what was his name? You know the guy that was in the Transformers movies. Anyone? No. What was his name? Oh well. Anyway, look it up. Green screen. He was doing all that stuff. He had like a weird ponytail thing. All right. So if he comes up and he stomps and he does this thing, I think I'll have him like explode into another pose. You know, like let's just keep it going. We've only got 3 seconds done, maybe less. So he hits here, and then maybe he'll come down. Then he'll jump up into this position. We'll really rotate him. Let's reset this here. Oh, Mark Wahlberg. It wasn't Mark Wahlberg. Man, what was his name? Buff. Shia Shia LaBeouf. That's what it was. Shia LaBeouf. That guy. You remember that guy? All right, so he's going to hit here. We'll do this. All right, now it's starting to look funky. So let's fix this. I don't want it to like be super. This pose here, he hits, and then he's going to explode. Yeah, that guy. All right, I'm going to turn off his dynamics here. Okay, so he comes down. So he does his little thing. So what is he going to do? Does this thing. So I think he needs to have his arm come up here. And it's going to like explode. But I wonder if should his arm come like out like that? What would it do? All right, I'm gonna hold these keyframes a little bit longer. So he hits here. Add a keyframe. Add a keyframe. Add a keyframe. I'm gonna pull this whole thing out. All right, so he hits here. I feel like we need to build the tension at this point. So he's now again going to be doing some kind of a build up to another explosion. So maybe the head comes down, maybe it turns in this direction, and then we'll start to like scale these things around. hits. Okay, and then right here, everything needs to be in this direction. No, unfortunately, I don't know anything about spine. I've heard it referenced a lot. I don't know anything about it. The only other one that seems kind of cool to me that I haven't really worked in would be one that I can't think of the name at the moment. It's the one where you can do like real-time interactions with like your mouse and your buttons and all that. Ah, man, what's the name of that one? Gosh, we just got through Shia LaBeouf, and now I'm stuck on this new program. What's it called? I tell you, my brain is just mush. Anyway, there's another program where you can do like, you can animate something and then, now I want to look it up. What was it called? I don't have any idea what it's called, guys. I'm sorry. Cool story, Hans. All right. Yeah, I got nothing for you. No, I haven't heard of Spine. Sorry. Or I haven't used Spine. I'm sure it's great. Yeah, I wish I could remember the name of it. I want to say it starts with an S too. All right, let's get this arm moving a little better. All right, so he's going to hit down here, and I want him to build. Maybe we'll have him kind of like rotate in his posing. It's interesting. Why does it pop like that? It's because the. Let's try that. Maybe the arms will come up. Oops. So. All right, let me redo this motion. All right, so he comes up here, goes like so. Don't worry about questions, keep them coming. Yeah, you can do loops in Moho. It's I haven't gotten it to work, but when I watch tutorials, boy, do they make it look easy. So here's what you do: is you select your keyframes that you want to loop, and then you go cycle. And then you can adjust kind of like where they cycle. But for whatever reason, I can't get it to work. It just kind of messes up my animation. So the answer is yes, you can. The better question is, why doesn't it work for me? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the problem is. I'm sure I'm doing something wrong, but I'm just not sure what. Let's have him come up here. What's he going to do after this? Okay, I feel like his weight here doesn't feel big enough. So he's going to hit here, but then I want it to keep maybe going down a bit. And then he can stand up. Oops. He'll stand up a little bit. And then he'll sink in. Let's see if his weight feels better. No, he doesn't actually have any weight anymore. What happened? Let's look. So he hits down here. Huh. Okay. Maybe we'll have him come down. So he goes down, then up, then back down. Okay, maybe that'll feel better. Let's look. Oh yeah, that's better. So he's got this nice kind of like weight to him. So maybe I'll give him a time to perform right here. Maybe he comes up and he's like, "You never blah, 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 blah. Nah." Because when you're animating a character, you don't want there to be continual motion. You want there to be pauses so that your character can like take a beat. The audience, their view can kind of like catch up to it. And then you can go into your next action. So it's not good to continually be going, what? You know, give them a second to go. I'm going to process the information that I'm seeing. I'm going to tell you what I think. And then I'll move on to my next explosion, performance, whatever you want to call it. Just take a beat. So if he pops up here, I mean, there can be movement to give the illusion of weight. He's going to come up. And then maybe he'll explode here with another like pointing gesture. Maybe we'll keep this movement going down like he's building up to something here. And then right here, let's maybe we'll find a way to settle it to one more big kind of like puff out his chest kind of expression. We'll do that, and this foot will need to come in. So pull this up, we'll scale it back to 100. Rotate this out. Scale that up. Let's reset that angle. All right, maybe we'll put the arms out. Kind of like, and what are you going to do about it? All right, there's a number of things I need to clean up here. So let's do that. This foot needs to come back here. So it's going to start moving as he comes up. Before he just jumps straight up, I want him to come maybe down and back a bit. And then maybe even here, pull him down and forward. We'll rotate him forward. This will come up, up. I'm not a big fan of this last pose. So what do I need to do? Maybe here, he'll kind of rotate it. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. Okay. So some of these dynamics happening on the bones aren't quite working how I was hoping they would. So that last pose is not what I want to settle on. So I got to figure out how am I going to get into that. I kind of like he's got this like pump, almost like a fake out. That's what I love these programs for, is because they can create different sections or like different performances than you were expecting. That's cool. Look at that. Pump, settle, and then explode. So I'm going to pull these back just a bit. So it's, what I'll do is do that. Then at this point, the shoulder will probably come down. Arm will come down. And then it'll, hit into place here. Okay, so he's got this like pump action here, and then he's coming down, and then he explodes into this. And I feel like maybe at this point I need to turn off his dynamics on his neck because it's just really messing with things. I think I'll leave it like that, pull it down a bit too. And then I'll keyframe the rest of it. Into position as I go. So as the head comes down here, I will offset this a bit. We'll keep it going down. do the same with the neck. We'll offset these rotations. Or I wonder, maybe what I should do is, what if I kept it, whoops. What if I kept it back here? I've got to put that hand somewhere else, but what if I held it here? So he would come up. And then maybe we do that double. I don't know. Let me see. Because he's got his hands up like this. So it comes up, and maybe it settles back into position here. Yeah, then maybe he'll go, right? One last kind of like exclamation. Yeah, I think that'll work. And then finally, let's just get it in there and then finish it off. Maybe we'll come like this. Kind of build all this up. Oh, whoops. And then this, let's go ahead and add a keyframe to all of our points. And this will be my kind of final. Okay. So the question is, will this work? And can I polish it up to make it look good? I think it's an okay start. It's an okay start. This gives you a general idea of how I kind of process the information I work. This is my workflow. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little time to polish this whole thing up, and just to make it look nice and clean and smooth, and that everything is building and it's clean with the timing of it and the posing of my character. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the time to clean this up, and then I guess what I'll do is call it a day. I'll say thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next one next week, Monday, 9 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up and then show you what we finished with. As always, thank you guys so much. The two of you watching still, I appreciate it. And hope you guys have a great week. See you guys again. Peace.